Hey Deanna, how are you?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm really, really tired.
How did it go? We were supposed to do this before we started recording.
I know, I know. Well, since it's a Gemini new moon in Gemini season, obviously I spent 24 hours talking, but really what I spent 24 hours doing was running. I did run Sandringham and I traveled 20 miles in 24 hours. We were on a team of five. And so every like one, two, three, 4-ish hours, I did a 5 mile loop. And I ran two loops over the course of the first 12 hours. Really proud of myself. Did no running training. Um, and was doing like 10-minute miles, like a 50-ish pace. Like,
Lovely.
very pleased with that. Like, consistency was more important to me than like racing it.
Yeah.
And then I did two more at like an hour 20. So I was walking like 15-minute miles ish. But it was a loop at like 3 p.m., 8 p.m., somehow like 4 a.m., and then like somewhere in the night as well. Like it was nuts. Like I think I slept 20 minutes really well in like an hour and a half of trying to rest. But because you're waking up every like 4 hours, like it was nothing. But I found it really funny because very Gemini. I don't like to listen to music when I run, probably because when I started running, I was like a teenager and it wasn't really a thing to run with headphones
Fair.
back in 2008.
Mm-hmm.
And also now I'm always afraid of getting murdered. So I don't want to
Shouldn't
wear
laugh.
headphones. And the bone ones are good because you can still hear your surroundings. I've just never done it.
Mm.
Um, but I literally just talk to myself for hours when I was on the course alone. And it was like in nature. It was so beautiful. Sandringham was a beautiful environment. So I feel like I was like very, very in my own, like just general digestion, chatting in my brain, let the commentary run. And it was so great. It was awesome.
I love this. I was
Yeah.
going you answer my question, I think. Were you speaking out loud or just the commentary in your head?
I do talk to myself
Don't we all?
a lot. Like, and I usually say, like, no, I'm talking to the dog, but it's definitely to myself. So that works really well. But no, I didn't like talk out loud. I think because at camp you were with people the whole time. So we had a
Mm.
team of five, and the other team was faster, and a team of four. So there was like 11 of us, nine of us. And so you always had someone to chat to, which was really
Mm.
nice. But it was actually also really nice to then like go out and be alone in the woods and then come back and be social. Because it was like it was a 2-day event with people I really, really love. But I was surprised the social battery wasn't more tired, but probably because it was a gentle environment. And the ultra,
Yeah.
if you know ultra running, it's like not a race. I mean, it is a race, but the goal is to like continue as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I think as like a speedy runner, I was like, I'm not fucking walking. Like, I'll just not do a loop if I need to walk.
Yeah.
Like it's a race.
Yeah.
But then I was like, no, like the person next to you might be doing this solo, and of course they're walking slower than you because they're not stopping for 24 hours. And all the teams might have 10 people on them or 5 people on them or 2 people on them. So like you can't compete with the person next to you. And I thought that was really like good for the inner monologue. Like there was no shame-a-log
There
in the
wasn't one,
brain.
no. But
No,
I
there
always think,
couldn't be.
no, I always think that with running in general, because even if you
Yeah,
overtake someone, they could be doing a half marathon for all you know, just on the street. Equally, it might be their first time ever running. And
totally.
equally, someone could speed by you, but they could be doing sprint training.
Yeah,
And it's like you never know what anyone else is doing. The only time it really feels like a race is if it's like a 5K, a 10K, a half marathon, and you have signed up for a race.
100%.
Yeah, I
Have you done
quite.
anything like that? Like a long relay thing?
No, the longest thing I did was a triathlon sprint.
Cool.
I think then, like, when I don't know how much they were over in the States, like Tough Mudders and the Spartan
Yeah.
races.
Yeah, those made it
Yeah,
over.
did a few of those, the longer ones, but I am not a long distance person. I can, but I choose not to,
Me
especially
neither.
not running.
I feel like only because I had to digest 5 miles at a time, I was like, cool. But even when I was in my like peak athletics shape and competitive, like on team, like I never trained more than 8 or 9 miles because when your race is less than 3.5 miles, there's not a lot of point in running so far. But everyone, and especially in their 30s, is like, we run marathons, we run half marathons, we do high rocks, we do all of these kind of like big stamina like activities.
I did a high
And
rocks. Forgot about that one.
yeah, like proud of them. That sounds great, but like I've kind of done the speed version of it. So I don't have the inner drive, but it was nice to find something that was still enjoyable. And like my old injuries didn't hurt because I was really sensible. Like it was such like a healing win. And I like kind of talked to like little me. I was like, you know what? Remember when you like quit running and you thought your entire identity was over and you were so injured and like how fun that like you did it, like you figured out how to run for fun like with your friends, and it's okay to like have some standards of time, but really you're just there to like do it. It was like very very healing.
So good. So good. The identity around fitness, exercise, running, lifting, all of that stuff, it is encompassing.
Yeah.
You could, I mean, every CrossFit gym is essentially a cult. Every high rocks gym, it's a similar vibe. It's just it becomes everyone's identity so much. And mine was so tied up with being someone who has always been able to move, has always moved, has always trained, obviously worked in the fitness industry since 2009, all the way through school, did all the sports. It's always been a part of my life, always.
Yeah.
And then to not be able to do it, whoo, crazy. I've always been quite good at changing when something doesn't work for me anymore. Like I suddenly realized CrossFit was not for me anymore, and I was quite happy just to let that go. I'm good at changing, but it was the difference between being able and moving to not being able to move. That was a whole different kettle of fish.
How did you cope interiorly on the interior? How did you cope
Internally?
with that? And how did you, yeah. And how did your inner monologue, thinking of like chatty Gemini, like how did you change the inner monologue of like, it's okay to be resting, it's okay to shift? Because I just feel like my inner monologue goes, and like I might intellectually know that it's okay that I'm shifting and changing, as you're quite good at, but sometimes the inner monologue is still like, well, what am I internally patting myself on the back for, if not that other thing? How did you shift that?
So the internal monologue was very much denial for a long time. I'll be fine, I can do it. I'll be fine, I can do it. I'll be fine, I can do it. And I'd try and then I couldn't do it. So ill, like every single time. So it was like there was just a huge phase of denial. This isn't happening. I'm going to try anyway. I'll be fine soon. It's not a big deal. I'm probably over exaggerating. Like I shamed myself in being ill, which is just such toxic patriarchal bullshit. But that's not meant to be the tone of the podcast, I don't think. And it just, minimizing my pain the whole time for a very long time. But then it wasn't necessarily when it was very, very evident that I could not train because I was then very, very ill afterwards, just couldn't really do anything. I stopped altogether, and it wasn't the exercise necessarily that the inner monologue got loud about. It was about the food, because exercise has always been that counterbalance. Yeah. And there were so many stories wrapped up. The inner monologue was all around how I would then look. A lot of stuff which I thought I dealt with, but the moment exercise was off the table, a lot of very loud demons came up. So it was interesting to watch. It went from denial to then body image and shame around that. And then trying to manage that and my own mental health around it, sort of not letting myself get down about it. But what happened, which was glorious, is the fact that I've now not trained for a year and a half and my body hasn't really changed.
Crazy.
Insane.
Well, you live a very active lifestyle. You walk Albie, you teach, you're on your feet, like.
Not really, not anymore.
But like, I think you're more at. We don't need to compare ourselves to everyone, but like,
No,
I think
but
that.
all I do is walk Albie twice a day.
Yeah.
That's just walking. So I would say yes, great. I'm getting at least 10,000 steps a day. That is more
Yeah.
active than a lot of people, but it's still not what I would call active. My
Sure.
job now is predominantly sat on my ass.
I've moved that direction too, but I still think that like the work that you or I did from let's say 15 to 30, 35 does really count. And actually a few months or a few years of making changes, I don't think has I'm sure Dr. Brain could come in and like tell us stats about changing patterns and things like that, but I really think that there's so many more ways to be healthy than just XYZ. But when you've only eaten or fueled because of your activities, when you've changed habits in your life for the better because of your athletic activities, once that root is gone. I mean, I remember I was in high school. I had my first big injury, my patella tendonitis, and I had to take time off, and it was really hard. And I mean, I was eating egg whites every morning. I was on kind of like the zone diet, but very gently. Like our coach was not about dieting, but he did try to help us to kind of figure out, well, how much of something is a good amount of something nutritionally, not necessarily
Yeah.
in volume. And it was really always very positive. But I remember I stopped running. My body felt a little bit different, probably just because I was bloated. It probably wasn't have anything to do with gaining weight. Not that gaining weight has any issue. But I remember being like 16 for the first time. And I remember my mom told me, she's like, "You look smaller. Are you feeling okay?" And I was like, "Because I am smaller." Like, I didn't know, like, I kind of had purposefully been cutting down because I was like, well, if I fuel to run, this is just 16-year-old Dianna trying to figure out what body is, like, then by getting recognition that I was smaller because I wasn't eating as much because I wasn't running, I was like, yeah, because I am. And I kind of like was happy that that was noticed, but I immediately in that moment also was like, this is gross. Like, I don't want to be smaller. Like, I don't want to be anything other than myself. And I like remember being like an angry teen and saying that to my mom, and just her asking, which was the right thing to do, very neutrally, oh, I just noticed this thing.
Yeah, good
I
for
like
you.
hated my response in real time. And then I like was very mindful that like things like eating disorders or just disordered eating in general, like in a loose term, like is so pervasive when you tie food to activity only and then activity to self-worth. And that's
Yeah.
a lot to cope with
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
any age.
Any age. So it's a whole journey. The moment exercise is once it's part of your life, not making it part of your identity, obviously very challenging because it's so easy within movement circles. I mean, we know with yoga how it becomes kind of a little bit, you make friends. I went out for dinner on Friday night with a group of friends. We met at CrossFit 9 years ago, and we went out for dinner, the five of us. And I know it was 9 years ago because we all met for my they came and met me at Centre Parks for my 30th birthday. Like I've got a picture of the five of us together. And so we were friends before that. But yeah, 9 years later, we're out for dinner. We all met at CrossFit. Only one of us is now doing CrossFit. But we've all stayed
Yeah.
in touch. But fitness becomes such an ingrained part of your life. You know, you meet new people, you go and do that activity together. And then even if the activity itself changes, we still would meet for runs, we still meet for saunas, we meet for food. You know, it's all very much around this whole movement exercise lifestyle. You start dressing differently, you feel differently, and then suddenly exercise is this core component of your life. And it's really, really difficult for it not to become a part of your identity. So then when it goes and you've got to break it down, my God, it's hard.
It's really hard. And I'm not really sure. Like, I think if I was standing in front of a client, like, I mean, I always go back to like, it has to be a soulful identity. Like, who you are, what you do, and what you do not do actually has no bearing on your core sense of self and that like center spark of like your aliveness and your inside. However, how you appear to the world in your body can be very validating or invalidating to that interior sense of self. So, I mean, it can be body and activity can be adapted for good, or hi Alvi, or adapted for worse. And it has to be this bonus thing rather than the main thing. And that's why I think soul is like such a relief. Like, I mean, the thing is you're going to be the same Alex when you're 80, and your body will
I
not
know.
look the same. Neither will mine. And you're the same Alex. I'm the same Dianna,
Yeah.
deep on the inside as when I was 5. Like, so the inner monologues has to be centered there, but it's not easy. I had a client recently, very spiritual, prolific dreamer, very soul centered, and they all of a sudden had been going through a tricky time, just human life stuff, and they started eating different and smoking and just having kind of like a tricky time. And if any listener thinks it's them, please know that I see lots of clients and people, so there's a good chance it's not just you. But so often you get people and they're like, I don't really recognize myself. My behavior is so different. And granted, your behavior should align with your identity, and bolster it. But it's not the end all be all. We all have little seasons where growth is hard. There's a lot of friction, and or like you just step away from it, make some strange choices and come back to it. Like, we're meant to be very imperfect in this earth plane, and we're meant to have body challenges. Like, we were plopped into this body, I hope for a reason,
Usually.
and that friction is hopefully leading to like better understanding yourself post having to cut down on, intense activity. Like,
Yeah. It's you talk about your client, how they're going through a tricky phase, and they've completely changed their behaviors around it.
yeah,
I got really, really triggered by, I'm going to keep this very, very vague because
yeah,
it's still quite prevalent. I got really triggered, and I knew I was cross in the moment, but thought that was kind of put to bed. But for a month, I went, I reverted back to a version of me that I've not been for a very long time. It rippled out into so many different aspects of my life. And I was just behaving in such an odd way. I'm like, why am I doing this? It was a lot of self-destructive behavior. It was a lot of procrastinating. It was a lot of self-defeating stuff. It was just delaying things, making my life more difficult than it needed to be. For apps, eating like an 8-year-old, unsupervised, just mental. And it was just all from this one moment, this one trigger. And essentially what had happened was, I'd been triggered by this person because there was a teenage version of me who was almost like, fuck you, authority. You can't tell me what to do. You're treating me like a child, therefore I'm going to act like a child. And I did, but in a really like random way, not in a necessary. I know I had some good old vents to various different people that month. And again, that was it coming out verbally and me communicating my absolute outrage at this not really thing that I should be outraged by. It was very much a them thing as usual, but it just absolutely triggered a part of me, and that rippled out everywhere. And the moment I noticed what was happening, it was like, oh, and I'm me again.
yeah.
It was so, I honestly, 14, 15 years old, all over again.
I think though, like going back and being a weird inner teen, while we don't want to do that for long, I do think it's a
It
little
was
bit
healing in itself.
cathartic.
Yeah.
Like, I'm glad you didn't stay there. I wish you had been there for less amount of time because it was probably quite painful. But like, I've had so many times where I like, yeah, something in my inner teen gets triggered. It's really, really hard. And then I will eat beige food for 3 days. I will stay up too late and scroll. And while that's not great, there is something liberating in the fact like I'm actually a grown up, so I can behave like my inner teen. Maybe do it in the safety of your own house and don't be drinking in the park.
Why not? Let's go. Friday.
But there's something about being like a little bit naughty, not to like glorify your pain, Alex, but there's something, if we could use it in small doses to be like, fuck you, I'm having cake for dinner. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know, as long as it's not destructive for long periods, like I kind of applaud you for like going off the rail because you realized it. Like,
Yeah,
great.
I mean, I
But it's
realized it.
so
I
intense.
realized it after it happened. Sort of, I was in it, and then I was like, "This is who am I right now?" But it was like you say, it's almost like it needed to happen. I was my younger self for a while, and I was able just to see what she needed.
Yeah.
I was living what she needed, and it was like, oh, I can really
Healing.
actually like almost look after her for a while. Okay, darling, we know adults are idiots. But equally, we've learnt to cope with that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it was, yeah, it helped me deal with a lot of issues with authority. So it was good.
Yeah. I went through a big phase, maybe like a year and a half after moving here, and I just listened to like angry music, all of my like teen music. I went out a little bit more than normal, and it was really cathartic to be like, I'm a grown up. I can do whatever I want. So I'm going to behave like this. But also, I'm a grown up. I can do what I want. And I'm going to now choose to get back on track or refine who I really am. And that agency is very cool. Have you been finding that any of these things, obviously, we're kind of like reflecting on the on stories that are recent, but maybe not this week or this month,
Yeah.
with our new moon in Gemini, has that been stirred up more? Because I feel like I've had to like communicate a lot more. I found that ahead of this new moon, I've had a lot of like I've had to be the person like, can you get me that contract? Could you send me that email? Can we make sure we get it? And like because I am a Gemini rising and a Gemini in Mars in the first house, so it's really where I show up as my best, I think. If I lead with my Gemini, everything else normally falls into place. And she's not type A, but she's like, network, make it happen. Don't get stressed about it. Just like catch up with people. And that kind of like web of communication, which Gemini thrives on, was annoying last week because I had to be in charge. But actually, I really liked being in charge and helping remind everyone what to do and how to get there. And hey, can you make sure you call me back? Or hey, can I just check on how you're feeling about it? But it was quite a lot. Like I had 1, 2, 3 professional responsibilities that I have that I had to like really be on top of in a way that like I haven't had to recently. And that was just like a really funny thing. It was like everyone else's communication kind of was like closing down for the new moon, and I was like, I'm here. And that's fine. Like I loved taking on that job. Maybe not for all 30 days of the month, but yeah. Have you noticed any of the things that we've been talking about specifically in the past week? Because I have. My inner monologue's been loads, my communication with others and coping myself versus them and how I see myself. Like it's come up a lot, but luckily in quite a positive way.
I would say that I have not, my inner monologue has been very, very loud. Very loud. And I'm doing, again, it's almost the self-destructive behaviors. It's like, I could do this, or I could do that, and I'm going to go do that. It's been very much like, very loud, almost self-destructive, but not quite in a monologue. But last week I was sick, I was on holiday. You know, it's been a weird week anyway.
Yeah.
What I have noticed from the last few days is the universe there's been signs and signals and, you know, doors opening, and it's literally like everywhere. I'm like, oh my gosh, that aligned, this aligned.
Yes.
I had a dream about someone the other night who I've not seen for ages. I spoke to my sister that morning. She rang me and was like, oh, the person I had a dream about, her kid was at her house. And then I was walking the dog 2 hours later and I bump into her sister. And I'm like, what is going on? Why is this person so in my life right now? Like, what's going on? And then off the back of that, I was chatting to someone at the Waterton Wellness Weekend. And I just had some ideas. And then straight away I was like, I know why I need to talk to that person. And it was like, everything just sort of like and there's been other things like the universe is just loud right now.
That communication system is so cool though. Like the communication doesn't have to be like how you classically network or how I had to classically manage some of my business contacts. Like your communication can be interior, your instincts. I need a wee, I need to feed myself, or
Yeah.
I need to get the fuck out of here, or I need to go that direction. It can be imaginative, all your dreaming. It can be intuitive dreaming plus what's signs and like,
Yeah.
ooh, thinking about Gemini like in the universe communication system is very cool.
Very cool. Yeah.
Do you know what your Geminis are in? Do you have any Gemini?
Ninth, which is beliefs, travel, and expansion.
Which makes sense. You are traveling and you have been in quite a lot of expansive communication systems.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, just being open to other things, I think, is that whole let's go learn and grow. Obviously, I'm still very set on Perseus being a knob.
Perseus is a knob.
He's a knob. all of the Greek heroes, they all end up being awful people.
I think it's really satisfying though that a lot of so last episode, listeners, we were talking about like Greco-Roman theology quite a lot, and we also I recommended Medusa's Sisters.
Finished it.
Alex read, fantastic, and so it's just really interesting to. I think it's really cool that like the pantheon is imperfect. Like they might be gods, but they're more human-like than ever. And that's quite satisfying. I can see why culture took on those gods for so long. Like I can see why a population of people would be both attracted to that, to that theology, because it's like they're magnificent, but they're also so imperfect and human. And something that really bothers me about, especially like the Christian God of New Age, of the New Testament, is that they're just kind of like placed on this perfect pedestal. But if you go back and look at like the Torah, like God was spiteful. God was like
Awful.
not very nice all the time, like an imperfect, rageful thing. And so throughout like a lot of history, like most of human society conjures up or believes in a imperfect God. And if that's the case, like it gives us more permission to be imperfect as well. And when things go wrong, you can say, oh, well, my God is a trickster God. My God is a spiteful God. My God. And how often do you get people, I mean, in Reiki, I get this all the time, but I'm sure you get this too, Alex, where someone comes to you and they're like, if the universe is inherently good, if God is good, if Mother Nature is inherently good, why did they let this happen to me? How could this have happened? And it's like, well, because I think these systems are a little bit imperfect as well. And also human choice means that all the assholes around you have some influence over you too. Like human error, yours and everyone else's, is real.
No one is perfect, not even the gods. But even assuming that, really, really boring, because I actually think the gods were all created off bear skeletons from what I've read lately. So they found like a big bear, grizzly bear type. They found the skeletons, and obviously they look like a man skeleton or a human skeleton, but massive. And so they think that they were like, look, this huge giant race of men must have existed, and these were the gods. Much like dragons were existed off of the skeletons of dinosaurs.
Yes.
Which adore both these facts. Who knows? But I'm going to remove all spirituality from this in a very boring way. But let's say all of these stories were created off of really mundane things, but they're fundamentally stories created by humans, and it's been thought about, and it's just been a thought experiment as to what humans would be like if they were beautiful and if they were immortal. And it's like, what? Fundamentally, if you have all of the time in the world, you're going to mess around. You're going to screw things up. Just to make it interesting. But then if we add the spirituality back in, if we are just a soul in a meat suit flying around and we've come here for the human experience, again, you don't get much of an experience if it's perfect. So again, for the gods to experience the human experience, that was too many words, of experience, then it's going to be messy.
Yeah.
It's going to hurt.
So right.
So all we can do is feel our feelings and hope for the best.
Fuck. Damn it. God damn. Be here with my inner monologue as an imperfect human.
I think we're pretty close to perfect, to be honest, babe.
I mean, we have a podcast, so obviously we know best.
The audacity.
Well, I think new moon, very different than our last month's new moon. Last new moon, I talked a lot about like void. You gave me that word, like the void. Like it was really like powerful and midnighty and quiet. And I feel like this new moon, if there was a void, it feels like I kind of feel like you know how like the switchboard in the old days for the telephone, you'd see the lady like, because obviously only women were receptionists, like clicking in all the different places. I feel like if the void is anything, the void is like, I like can like stop time with comfort, turn off the switchboard, have a think, turn on the switchboard and start plugging everything back in the right way. Like,
Yeah.
I feel like there's like really cathartic empowerment in having control over the communication systems that I'm a part of right now. And that's not to say I'm the most important part of them, but like control in the sense is often I rush to communicate with everyone. I feel like I have to get back to everyone at a certain time. And if I don't, I feel like shit. Like, ba, 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 ba. And instead it's like, oh, no, like I can go quiet if I need to go quiet. I can go on the 5-mile run in the woods, or I can like plug in on a Monday morning and be ready to go. Like, there's some real comfort there, but it feels more like choice rather than like forced stillness this time. Like, could be in the void, could be in the darkness of the new moon, or happy to like blank slate and rebuild minute by minute, which is nice.
It is nice. I think my busy mind is making it feel like a similar sort of vibe in the choice setting, but the busy mind, it's like all my thoughts are being thrown at me and it's up to me to choose what sticks.
Yeah.
It's like, we're just going to ignore that one. But hang on, however, that's a really good idea. That's the mindset I want to bring in right now. Yes, let's go for more abundance mindset. Let's ignore that lack mindset. You know, it's like everything's coming at me, and it's then up to me to sit still, listen, and choose my direction rather than just listening to it all and being buried and overwhelmed.
Yeah. Which makes sense because didn't you say your things were in the 9th house for Gemini?
Yeah, yeah.
So you're like you're like at the end, you're like in the reception versus I'm in the 1st house, which is like, how am I going forward? Like you might be in not a passive situation, but in a more like, what am I receiving or not receiving?
Yeah.
Rather than what am I plugging into or not plugging into?
Yeah.
Different energies. Really cool.
So cool.
I'm excited to see how this fits in with our full moon.
Yes.
I guess we'll see.
We shall see indeed. We'll leave that one there for today.
Yeah, guys, make sure you comment. How are you feeling in the Gemini? Do you like Gemini? Gemini gets a bad rap, which we didn't talk about at all. But I love a Gemini, basically because I'm a Gemini rising and I really identify with it. Like inquisitive, communications, investigative. Like, are you feeling more like Alex? Are you feeling more like me? Let us know. We'd love to hear it.
Gemini us. Shady bunch. I love it. I'm surrounded by Gemini. Weird. Gemini women in my life are incredible. But still, there's the people when Gemini, all of the Gemini, when they're in a bad place, they're struggling, the people pleasing element of it,
yeah,
blows my mind. So I think it's like,
the most,
when I notice anyone in my life that's people pleasing that is a Gemini a lot, I'm like, let's have a hug.
Yeah.
What's going on with you right now?
It's the most lauded, affirmed system to fix things for other people. So it's no wonder that the sign that is most about communications might go haywire and say, let me just people please.
Yeah.
With my words or my actions.
Yeah.
Well,
so check in on your Gemini friends, people. But yeah, let us know. Let us know how this new moon is showing up for you. We want to hear.
Amazing.